Hey guys, how y'all doing? Welcome back. Today we are going to talk about biotics and like everything that we did to make biotics work into the Cyberpunk rules. I'm super excited because Taylor made us rewrite it like literally 3 days before I thought we were ready to publish this thing, and now we're like, okay, well, let's keep going.
I was writing the bullet points for this video, and I was like,
we need to wholesale change everything. So
we gonna do it right.
Right. So I mean, if you want to see Taylor, you want to take us away? I had to transfer.
Yeah. So this is what I made Casey change last minute. All right. So buckle up, boys. Here we go. In Cyberpunk Red, you have martial arts. And within martial arts, you can then specialize in certain martial arts styles, judo, karate, etc., etc., etc. Well, my thought was biotics are a full body experience. You know, you're manifesting these powers, you're pushing them, you're manipulating them. Think like Avatar or something, you know, you're like the airbender. You're moving shit. It is a part of your body. So to make life easier, why not we make biotics a martial arts category that you can specialize in? So with that being said, you will use your martial arts for all of the attacks and contested things, and anything with your biotics that calls for a check like that, you will use the biotics subsection of martial arts. Then we also made, because some things are ranged, which was kind of the, well, wait, how do we do this? So since some abilities are ranged, we made, if you look in the PDF, our own little range chart for biotics. So whenever a stat or whenever a ability calls for a, range chart, that's what we're talking about. And then most of them will state that you're doing a contested, biotics and athletics or whatever that may be. So that way you can fully understand what you're doing, and it makes a little more sense than trying to adapt it to like some other combat style. That being said though, martial arts in Cyberpunk Red, you can rate a fire 2 unless you're doing a special ability, which will turn it down to 1. So we're considering all of these special abilities. So all biotics are just a rate of fire 1. It's going to take your entire turn to do these things. Another thing to note, with biotics, just like martial arts, it ignores half armor. But with Mass Effect, we have the barriers and the Mass Effect shields and those sort of things, which your biotics will do full damage to, just like, it would if you were shooting something. So you're not going to ignore half shields, only ignore half armor. So you're going to have to get down their barrier, get down their shields before you really benefit from that. But I think that's going to have the ability, especially for adepts, to make it so stinking deadly, because you're going to be doing like 3d6, 4d6 on like one hit. It's going to ignore half armor. It's going to be cool.
She wanted to make biotics as powerful as the soldier in some of the stuff that we made for engineer. I thought it was plenty powerful. Apparently it wasn't. So, but now let's, I'm going to go ahead. We're going to break it down. As we mentioned in previous videos, like I said, this might be also good for you net runners out there who can, biotic barrier so you don't get shredded, or a bubble shield so you can do your little hacking thing. And they have like so much shit they have to go through. Like you can really build a Sentinel up to have a heavy defense. Like we tested it. I think Gavin made a full tank build, survived 2 rocket blasts before I even started damaging the character. I was like, okay.
Like, look, here. Anyone who wants to play Sentinel, let me give you a little secret so your GM will hate you, because we thought of this and we're like, oh my God. Okay, say you're like hacking into something and it's like super important and you're doing your thing, and then all of a sudden like 3 dudes jump you. If you have your barrier up, take Nova when you can get 2 abilities. Have your barrier up. You're sitting there hacking. People are coming at you. you can Nova Blast, which will do damage plus what you have left in your barrier, and push them away. It will destroy whatever node you're working on, though, but it could be such a cool, like, get out of here, no trace, poof, people. Anyway, I think that's like the perfect combo for like defense. You can make it offense if you're smart, but
Vanguard. I mean, basically, these are the bullets on the board. These are the players who aren't afraid to biotic charge in the middle of battle, take out stragglers with a Nova Blast, and then and a pistol charge with marksman, and do a couple headshots. So like pop, pop, pop. Yeah, these are the people who take down shields, kick people off of cliffs, real Sparta type situations. They take no shit from nobody. They got shotguns, pistols, biotic charge, Nova Blast, shockwave. Like, you get, the list goes on. These are full offense players.
Yes. Just be terrifying. But also, look, all of these are terrifying. Equally terrifying. Adepts, where you get everything. And you can you have the ability to deal a shit ton of damage while ignoring half armor and all of that fun stuff. But then there's also so many utility kind of abilities where you can manipulate where people are. You can push them away, pull them away, throw them here, pull them here, really mess up your opponent's strategy by getting in there and doing those things. You can shield your buddies with like a good biotic bubble. You can create cover. You can do so many things that can keep you alive and also absolutely wreck the other guys. And the nice thing with Adept is you are the only biotic class that has the ability to use Singularity, which we have decided is the strongest mechanical power for a TTRPG since. So our reasoning is an Adept is fully biotics. They do not have their brain half occupied with tech codes or how to clean a gun. They're not worried about anything else but biotics. So they have been able to train themselves to use this really big bad power, which here, let me pull up the editing tailor cut to me reading. So with Singularity, what you're going to do is roll to hit an area of effect using that biotics DV chart that we talked about. So think of it like when you're rolling or when you're like throwing a grenade and you're I want this point in the middle of people I want to hit. You're going to do that. You're going to use your martial arts attack roll to hit that DV based on the chart. On a successful hit, you will target 2 enemies within 2 meters or yards of each other, and they will take 3d6 damage and are stuck for 3 rounds. At the beginning of each of the target's turn, they can try to roll a DV20 athletics check, because this is a strong, powerful warp area. Like, it's going to be very hard to get out. While in the Singularity, they also cannot evade checks. So it's going to turn into just straight range charts for everyone else on your team to hit those guys, which can be super great if you have very, very fast people. Also keep in mind, though, that any other target, so unaffected targets or any equipment attached to you, like melee weapons, grapple guns, anything like that, cannot pass into that area of effect without making that DV check as well. So if you have a very melee heavy person and someone's in a Singularity and you try to hit them with your katana, you're gonna have to make a check to keep hold of that katana, because the Singularity is going to pull it in. Say it's a katana that's a part of a cyber arm that you have. You as a person will have to make a DV20 athletics check to also not get pulled in. So it can be very dangerous for people who maybe want to interact with that general area that aren't already stuck in Singularity, which is super dangerous for those people as well. So there's lots of use there too.
It's a very good active denial, area denial situation as well. Like if you're also a defensive player. So like
y'all are trying to run away, pop it in a doorway as you go down the hall.
So like we'll start with like Biotic Sphere. It basically creates a defensive shield around the allies and yourself. It has like a 2 meter 5+ yard radius from the center of the caster. So wherever you're at, radiate 2 meters out. This creates a shield effect or SP effect of extra 15 for everyone in that field. Everyone, players, including the bad guys, if they wander in there. Mm-hmm. Just to let you know this.
Individual. It's not each person gets that. It is a pool that you take from no matter who gets shot at inside of that. So
yeah. So easy thing to think about. 15 pool. Once that goes, it's like temporary hit points, but for the entire group. That's the easiest way I can explain it. It's temporary hit points for the entire group. Downside is because I was like, that's OP, but you cannot use your gun at all.
Which makes sense.
If you do that,
that mission in that game, when you get down to the last section, like you can tell the person there casting it is like struggling. That was a little bit of why I was like, maybe this is a body skill because they're focusing on holding that, you know. I would say also think for the GMs, because we brought this up when we were playtesting some things. If I am standing here and I am holding a biotic sphere and there's a bad guy directly at my 12 o'clock and one of my buddies is 20 yards that way on my 6, if this guy in front of me can't get a straight shot around my bubble at this guy, it's going to hit the bubble, you know? So you can have that sphere up and then maybe even make it as a shield for people further down if it's a choke. You know, obviously it's very easy for the bad guy to like walk 3 meters this way and shoot around it. But think of that in a strategical way too if you happen to get in a scenario where it's a choke, you know?
The next thing I want to talk about, which is another, these are ones that you expect. Personally, I expect adepts to use, but anyone outside of adepts can use these as well. For its barrier. Now, this is a field of energy surrounded and protecting you from all kinds of damage. So think of another shield. This ability stacks with your shield and adds another 10 SP for 3 combat rounds or until it's spent. Any damage after that, any damage chips away at your barrier before your shield. So, example, 30 points of damage comes in. Well, that's 10 points there with your biotics. Then whatever's left of that, so that's 20, goes to your shields, which I made 15. You can make it stronger or lesser. There's that. Then it hits your armor, and it doesn't go through armor, so no damage. It's a really good way for people to beat damage and basically mitigates damage.
Yeah.
But you gotta think of it like that, GMs.
Yeah, and like the levels there. I feel like I'll make a cool graphic somewhere at some point in time. If it's linked here, it might be in the PDF. But it's like, so say you have your biotic sphere up, then a biotic barrier, then a Mass Effect shield, then your armor. Or even you have biotic barrier first, or a sphere first, then barrier, then a handheld shield, then a Mass Effect shield, then your armor, and then HP, obviously, being the very end. So we're given a lot of stopping power here. Which is why GMs, it's okay for mid-level players to have fucking gunships do strafing runs on them, because they can get that strong that quick. Yep. I think one thing too to note that we also brought up while we were playtesting. So in in Cyberpunk Red, normally any sort of cover and shields that you are either hiding behind or holding when you have some sort of explosive, the rule is that if the explosive damage goes past the SP of whatever shield or cover you're in, then the person behind takes all of that plus the remaining, because the argument is there's shrapnel now coming at you too, because your shield has now busted apart and is also added as part of that. That does not happen with barriers and Mass Effect shields because they are energy, not physical matter. So say someone throws a grenade and you have your biotic sphere up, while yes, it may destroy that, it's still going to stop some of that damage. You're not going to take the full anymore. So just keep that in mind. That's one thing that's different from a Mass Effect shield to a Cyberpunk Red shield rule.
Yeah. Trust me, that was about an hour and a half of conversation.
yeah. So I wanted to state it specifically so that way, because I tried to word it in ways, but want to make sure that it is different than a normal shield or a normal cover in the way of it's not a tactile thing that can cause shrapnel. So it's still gonna absorb damage. I guess the big thing is, how do you do biotics, Casey?
Yeah, so like there's different things you can do here. Most of y'all that aren't the pretty blue ladies are going to have to get implants. Basically, sorry, don't need them. They can train to upgrade their abilities. You have to spend time, money, train to learn these abilities. GMs, real quick, it's based on your decision, on your discretion, basically, on how quickly this can or cannot happen. Like for me, I have an entire group on their ship that can train them, and none of them have taken advantage but Renos. I've had a group sitting there that's like, yeah, we'll train.
Which I did technically use my IP for, but flavored it as I had someone to teach me. I didn't just like pull it out of my butt.
Right. Yeah. So like, again, there's a way. Anyone else that wishes to use biotics has to get the implants. And I'm talking about now, if you start out, as I see it, if you start out with implants, I'm not going to make you find the stock implants, right? GMs, if you're a player, like, I'm going to build a biotic from the start, well, okay, they have implants already. But if they want to get the upgrade implant, they have to find it. And that's where you could be clever about, that's military grade if they're not in the military, or, you got to find a street market that has it, illegal mods, stuff like that. But what we did with the implants, like the surgery implants, is that to upgrade it, you need to follow the healing rules of Cyberpunk Red, as well as the cost for hospital treatment, and take the listed humanity loss, which is what, 46?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
It's essentially like some sort of neural implant you would get in Cyberpunk. Yeah. So we kind of use that same effect. So very similar. It's just you're going to take that humanity therefore having now something. Because as stated with Caden, like, the implants are kind of hard on the body, and especially like, what if, your player wants one and you find one in a shitty night market because they don't know anyone and they have one of those old crappy ones that like killed people. Like,
yeah, I
mean, can play all sorts of stuff,
Right. Like for us, we're playing in the future. So like most of it's L5s. Mm-hmm. But GMs, be creative, especially those GMs who know the lore of these, the L2 and L3s that give bad migraines,
If you playing like gutter punk, that would be,
oh, yeah.
A level 2 person's finally wanting to learn biotics and all they can afford is an L2. What's that? Have fun.
Have fun with the headaches.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't take a lot of humanity loss there.
Yep. Obviously, they'll want those upgrades, or let them know they want those upgrades, because all the different abilities that can be upgraded list what they do, whether that be more damage, bigger area effect, more targets, whatever. It's just going to make them a little more scarier, a little more badass, a little more worth it. I think, too, just like the last thing to kind of maybe wrap up the biotics, we always talk a lot about combat, because, that's 9 times out of 10 when you're giving your character stats and these abilities, it's so you don't die, because you're going to combat. But think about, I think with tech and then with the biotics especially, there are so many out of combat scenarios that you could possibly use. I would say players be creative, GMs let your players be creative. Like if you have an adept who wants to use pool to get something off the top shelf, don't make them destroy that item with the 3d6 damage. They're strong enough to be able to just barely grab it and bring it to them. Like have some fun with it.
Let them be Jedis, because that's what they are.
I literally only took pool and smash so I could be a Jedi.
Like, if your add-up or any of your biotic players want to use push, pull, I can tell you right now that if I was an add-up, I would be the fattest add-up because I would never get up for anything. I would literally be like, cool, come to me, remote.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Like,
yep.
Let them be creative.
You know how many remotes they have broken until they figure out how to not deal as much damage while they did that? It's worth it.
Hell, maybe for you gutter punk guys, that's how they train.
Yeah.
There we go. We just gave you a training scenario free of charge. You're welcome.
Oh, it could be like medicine balls, you know, all the different weighted like medicine workout balls and like trying to like pull them. That'd be fun. Anyway, look, here's so much you could do. And tell us what things you do in our Discord, which is linked down below when you play this game, which hopefully is out now and also linked down below with all of our socials. So stay in touch. Let us know how fun it is and what you do and any new things. We're going to hopefully come out with some more additional like rules and things. We've had ideas. I've got a couple of like module ideas that I'm hoping to get out real quick so y'all can have a game to play.
Right. I mean, I got a couple as well that I've been thinking. I think what our next episode is for our soldier boys and girls next.
Yes. Which a fun one.
Love it.
So stick around for that. Then we'll have tech. We'll talk about weapons. We'll talk about like the drugs. We'll talk about all the things coming up in the next few episodes. So keep an eye out. All of our socials are down below. And hey, we're running this show. Have fun. Play well.
May all your rolls be crits.